wow, how's it feel to be 40? And I'm like, so good. You know, I mean, I know what my life's going to be. I know where I'm going to live. I'm graduating from my undergrad this year. My career's changing, like could not be better. Bring on 40.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to What the 50. I'm super excited because I'm here with my special guest today, Kathy Kinghorn. Hey, Kathy.
Hey, everyone, and Cindy especially.
So who are you, Kathy? What do you do? What's your passion? Tell us about you real quick.
Okay, well, I spent, after being a high school dropout, I spent 20 years in the corporate world. When I was in my 30s with 4 kids, I thought, you know what? I want to go back to school. Let me correct that. I want to go to school. I have always loved to learn. But when I was in my teens, we moved to Utah, and I couldn't figure any of the things out here. I didn't get a lot of stuff. Looking back, also, I can say I had no social skills, none.
Oh, really?
But be that as it may, I really felt the loss of dropping out of school because I love to learn. So I started college in my 30s, and my undergrad was a 7-year plan to get my undergrad, and it took 7 years. So I nailed that. I had to start, I had to start so way back in math, like it was
Yeah.
just terrible. Um, but on January 1st is my birthday. I'm a New Year's baby.
Oh, nice.
And I turned 40. And so I never forget, Cindy, somebody was like, wow, how's it feel to be 40? And I'm like, so good. You know, I mean, I know what my life's going to be. I know where I'm going to live. I'm graduating from my undergrad this year. My career's changing, like could not be better. Bring on 40. And July 2nd of that year, my husband at the time asked me for a divorce, and it blew up my whole world. And I thought all of my dreams and desires and all of that would be crushed with that announcement. But you know what? As women do, as us strong women do, we survive. We're
Mhm.
survivors. And so I thought, well, you know what? The corporate world has paid me well. It's been good. I'm going to stay the course. But then as it turned out, things changed, and I was able to remarry, get my master's degree, and begin my career as a therapist in my kind of late 40s. So
Wow.
yeah, that's the short or the long of it. I'm not sure.
So you kind of reinvented yourself in your late 40s.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is so cool because I think, and we touched on this briefly before I hit record, I think women our age-ish have the opportunity to rebrand, to reinvent, to recreate. And I think we can be whoever we want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, when I got remarried, we had 9 kids together, combined. And so we were a big blended family, and we had custody of 5 of them. And I had never been a stay-at-home mom before. And so I go into this community of wonderful, I mean, amazing stay-at-home moms. Nobody really worked in the area I was in, and the people I
Right.
associated with is, and I knew nothing about being home all day with kids. And Cindy, you know, the challenge of a blended family adds its own little fun and spark to everything. So I did that I stayed home for some time, and it was good. I loved it. I honestly enjoyed it. I didn't even know there was a debate between stay-at-home moms and moms that worked. And I know that sounds crazy, but
Yeah.
you know, I just thought we were all women trying to do our thing. So when I went back to school and obtained my master's and went into my own practice, I got back into the work life, and it was just a totally different life, but exciting. I had passion for it. I really enjoyed it. It was so fun. You know, I think that the sacred still exists. And I know that that word has been kind of co-opted by organized religion. And
Right.
it shouldn't be, because the sacred, in my mind, it exists where we find the sacred. And when you're in a room and you have somebody telling you, I thought I'd go to my deathbed with this, or you have a woman just in so much pain from finding out, the tragedy that what her life is not. It's sacred ground there. And so there's a lot of hard days. I mean, I've had a lot of sadness and grief and joy and challenges and all of that.
So let's kind of, I want to ask you about women our age. I like to call us women of a certain age. And there's something so powerful about being in your 50s, even in your 40s. Like you said, you felt great when you turned 40, but being in your 50s and having just, I think that we see ourselves so differently. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, 100%, Cindy. I think in your 40s, you're trying to adjust the dial all the time on your voice. It's like, oh, that was too loud. Oh, that wasn't loud enough. Oh, I've got to. And somewhere, somehow in your 50s, you're like, this is me. This is me.
Isn't that interesting? I would agree with that. And adjusting the dial on our voice. I feel like I spent a lifetime, and I know a lot of women I know kind of feel the same way. I've spent a lifetime trying to modulate my voice and keep it here, because I grew up in a religious structure that basically, in my opinion, told me that I didn't have enough say, like I didn't have a voice. And then I, of course, not so ironically, found myself married to men who made me feel the same way, right? So finally being in my 50s and having a voice and not being afraid to use it and being okay, like you said, this is my opinion, that's your opinion, we can agree to disagree. It doesn't have to be a fight, doesn't have to be an argument, just being okay, feeling comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, just to add to that, is we all need a witness to our story. We need that witness in safety. We need it accepted that it is our story. And so a lot of what I do is I witness people's stories, right? And I think for women, our story has been adjunct to the male in our life. Instead of, or our children, which we love. We can love the male in our life, we can love our children, we can love all these things. So it's not taking away from that, but putting ourselves, this is my story, center stage is exciting and liberating. And you fail big when you do that, but you win big too. Yeah.
So touching, you said, you witness people's stories, and stories is this like theme that I'm going with since I started this whole What the 50 movement and wrote my book and started this podcast, that we all have stories. I believe there's a lot of shame wrapped up in some of our stories. I think some women, myself included, we were hesitant to share our stories because of shame.
Yes. Yes. I call shame a master emotion, because here's how I frame it. Where there's a master, there's a slave. And so that behavior becomes the slave to the master emotion of shame. Like if I'm in shame, I'm smaller, I want to just disappear. I want to act exactly right so I don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
So, that when shame gets that big, then yeah, it can take a part of us that needs sunlight.
So Kathy, well, how do women, I want to speak specifically about women. How do they get rid of the shame?
It's a great question. First, and this might sound crazy, but first, know you're in it.
Yeah.
It can be a really tricky emotion. Like, I think it's healthy that we feel guilt.
Yes.
But guilt is, I made a mistake. Shame is, I am a mistake.
Okay.
Right. And so knowing that if I feel guilty and I say I made a bad choice, I got to go correct that. I have to own that and correct it. But if I'm feeling like I'm bad, I mean, what do you do with I'm bad? You can't go anywhere from I'm bad. Right. If you look at your shame part, if you look at shame as just a part of you, it's likely showing up to protect you in some way. It's trying to get you out of what it believes is a dangerous situation. So let's say you walk into a group and some, and they're laughing, and you, right when you walk in, it goes dead silence, and you're like, oh, they didn't want an outsider, and my gosh, how do I get out of this, you know? So your shame goes, oh geez, I didn't know they were serving this over there, I'm going to go grab it. So it gets you, you know, quickly removes you from that unsurvivable situation. Your body can believe that you're not going to survive that. Our bodies have a really hard time discerning between real danger and perceived danger.
Yeah.
So if you're in a situation and people are making, and it brings up one of your shame triggers, then your body will go, I got this. I'll get you out of it. And it will do things that either line up socially or they won't. For women, we can play the part very well of socially appearing that we're good, but the shame is just so intense. So if you think about it as just a part and you go, oh, I'm glad you're here. What's up? What are you seeing? Try to separate from it a little bit. Imagine it in your mind's eyes as a separate part of you that's there as a friend. I'm trying to help. It can help you go, oh, okay, what were you trying to help with? Well, you just said something really awkward. And so I'm trying to get you to have an escape plan to get out of here. Oh, I did say something really awkward, but I got this. Watch what I do here. I'm going to clean that awkwardness up. So I'm not trying to get anybody schizophrenic here. I'm just saying, if you can separate from that shame a bit, it can actually be a really valuable conversation with yourself.
You mentioned something, Kathy, a few minutes ago, and I probably made a connection that you weren't intending, but I still find it interesting. You said our bodies, shame in our bodies. Our bodies carry a lot of our emotions, right? So if maybe like pain that is not processed fully and fully healed, does it come out in other ways?
Our bodies keep score. It's a great book by Bessel van der Kolk. It
Yes.
really is. You got it? I mean, they really do. And so what can happen is, like, again, I'll just use myself as an example. I'm not really an angry person. I go to sad super quick. I just don't go to angry very quick. And I was raised, I think, in an environment where that wasn't really okay, especially for a woman to be angry. So I notice if I'm rubbing my jaw tenses up if I feel angry, but I won't know I'm angry. That will cue me into what's going on with me.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'll go, oh yeah, I'm pissed in this situation, but I've learned to cover up anger so well that I need my body to tell me, and this response to let me know. And then I trust it, Cindy. A lot of women have learned, don't trust your body. Just don't trust it. And think about the difference between bored and lonely. Like, most of us can call a friend and say, hey, I'm bored. What are you doing? Let's do this. Yeah, great. And so a lot of us don't know when we're lonely. We just say we're bored. So there's those emotions that we label so that they're culturally appropriate. You know, if I called somebody and said, hey, I'm really lonely, what would you do? That would never come out of my mouth. You know, it feels too burdensome to somebody else. It feels too heavy. It feels too much.
I wanted to ask you this question. I posted this video on TikTok a few days ago that went like viral, and I didn't expect it to. So it was this video of a bunch of photos of my husband and me, and it was just, you know, this really nice music. And my caption was, I'm so lucky I found the love of my life at age 50. We found, you know, he was 52, I was 50. It can happen to you too. You know, so my whole message was, it's never too late to find true love, right? The comments and responses I got from women, I'll never find anyone. I've given up. And my response to that, of course, it's pretty simple. You know, you've got to work on you. You've got to become the best person. You don't focus on finding a man, focus on healing yourself and becoming whole.
I think your answer was beautiful and it was accurate. I think that their betrayal must have been history. Their betrayal history had to have been, or still is, deep and wide. And think about it. We can't get betrayed until we trust. You know what? I have trusted and trusted and trusted, or maybe I've trusted once and it was so bad. I can't see that. And so really tuning in and trusting your own self first, kind of paraphrasing what you said. I think that the best question any of us can ask ourselves is, am I in good company when I'm alone?
Mm,
Do I like me?
I love that.
You know, do I trust her? Do I think she's funny? Do I get along with her? And I'll tell you, there's times when I'm driving down the road and I'm alone and I don't like the company. And it's just like I'm resenting somebody, or I'm in victim, or and
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? No, 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 no. I want to be in good company when I'm alone. And it allows me to move away from those emotions that I don't want to stick around in. Well, I do think culturally, I do think the setup is if if we can make a man happy, then the world celebrates. Truly, whether we
Yeah.
made him happy because we're thin enough or tall enough or big boobed enough, or we cook well enough, or you know, and that message is so prevalent in our society of what's the end goal. Well, if I can make him happy, and obviously we don't get to choose other people's emotions,
Yeah.
but the setup starts there with that cultural indoctrination of we have that much power, and we don't. um and then once you get in that relationship, you start getting these breadcrumb rewards.
Yes.
There's those spaces where you go, oh, I remember with my first husband, like he took the garbage out one day, and I was like, can you believe that he took the garbage out? Like, oh my gosh. And it was not a healthy relationship, and I played really small for a lot of years
Mm.
in it.
I can relate to that because I was on that intermittent reward system as well. And that times where we were getting along and things seemed good, I would, glorify that and like, okay, everything's good. And I like what you said about you were playing small. And I think we play small and we don't even realize it. Right?
For me to play small is going to look different than you,
That's true.
you know so I think it depends on that. How do I show up in my authenticity when I'm with my best friends that know me and I'm vulnerable and authentic? That's a good guide of when I vary from that. There's something there. There's something that's saying this is not a safe situation.
Mm.
Back away from it a bit until you get a better read on it. And with women that have been traumatized, or men really, they're always searching for danger. And so a dangerous situation can be just going in and not knowing, not having predictability.
That's so funny you said that. We're people who've been traumatized are always looking for danger. If I posted this quote recently that to somebody who's grown up in a very chaotic situation, peace doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And we often, this happened to me, I would seek out situations where I could pick a fight
Mm-hmm.
because I saw my parents fight. That's all I knew. That felt safe to me. So fighting with your spouse felt like a safe activity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would seek it out because peace felt so awkward.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, because for me, being excited I grew up in a family, settle down, everybody's settle down. And so to be excited, I remember I hadn't been married to my husband right now very long, and he calls me on the phone and he is excited as I've heard a human being. And he had won this little golf tournament. I don't even think he got first place. I think he got some goofy prize. And he was just, and my immediate reaction was, settle down. What are you doing?
Like,
What are you doing?
stop.
Yeah, like, don't make yourself so big. And I was laughing inside going, wow, there it is. So for women, we have been conditioned too, I think, to settle down. And
Yes.
so when we get excited, to have a visual representation of that, it can be a really scary place. Okay.
So Kathy, you as somebody in your late 40s who literally reinvented yourself by changing careers and doing something completely different, what would you say to women out there who want to do something so different, but maybe they're too afraid, maybe they feel like they can't do it? What kind of encouragement could you give to a woman who really wants to reinvent her life?
I would say that I learned I am a risk avoidant by nature.
Yeah.
Play everything safe. Here's my savings, blah, blah, blah. And my youngest boy, Jake, is risk tolerant to a level that frightens me still.
He is.
And, and you know that, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to learn how to become more at ease with risk. But I also had to learn, like, we just purchased this building that we do therapy in. And if somebody would have told me that when I was in my 40s, I would have said, you're crazy. But I thought entrepreneurs were different. I thought people that had that mindset were different and they could build their own business. The fact is, if you just do the next right thing, it will happen. But you've got to bring it down. You've got to, at the same time, hold your vision and then do the next right thing and learn from people with experience. When somebody with experience talks to me, I pay attention. I listen to it. So do the next right thing, start it. And if it's something that will add no financial value to your life, but maybe you want to learn painting and maybe you go, you know what, I want to learn it, but I don't want to turn it into this obsession where I've got to be good at it. Maybe you need to start with doing something that you feel confident you can fail at, like a hobby or something, right? So you test out that risk of failure in a safer kind of place, but always going, but where would I like to go and challenge myself to really win? Where's my passion? Where's my heart? And then just take the next right step and repeat.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much. This has been great.
It was fun. It was fun, Cindy.
I really appreciate, I respect you. I think you are just amazing.
Well, I'm excited to read your book.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And please, if you enjoyed the program today, please feel free to share. I appreciate you. Get out there and start living your best damn life. Until next time, take care.